Jank.
Jank. Rendering. Well, I know. It never gets old. Well, hello. Hold on, I got to do it. Well, hello. And welcome back. The two people that are watching, the three people that are watching, to pencil, not pencil, pencil, or pencil,
I.
pencil, piece pencil. It's T.O. pencil. Your
toe pencil.
It's which pencil, Mike?
Toe pencil.
This is your favorite pandemic podcast at some point in the future. Either we'll all be ash or we'll go back to some sort of normalcy. But until that point, dear viewer, it is your favorite pandemic podcast. Well, hello, my name is Jamar Nicholas, Philadelphia's favorite son, and some people call me Maurice. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No.
And also in some circles, they call me the Captain, Jean-Luc Picard. Hello. Engage. Make it so. Tea Earl Grey hot. And I am joined at the proverbial hip by my lovely co-hosts, the people that make the wheels on this bus go round and round. The Master Chief of comic illustration, Michael Manley. Mike Manley, what's going on, brother? Ooh, looking clean.
I cleaned my dome.
Oh, you got to do the pop. I can't do it. I don't know how you do that. That's great. Mike, what's going on with you, my friend?
Well, today was a busy day. Doctor appointment, getting the strip out, taxes.
No.
That's the best.
Yeah. The triple threat: deadline, doctor's appointment, and taxes.
Isn't that the three inevitable things?
The three horsemen of the apocalypse.
Death, deadlines, and taxes. I think that's it. And also, I would be remiss, dear viewers, if I did not mention. Somebody put the sad face up when I said taxes. The world heavyweight champion of webcomics, Stone Cold, Steve Conley.
Ringo
Award nominee.
Multiple Ringo Award loser.
Yo, don't put that in the wind, man. We're all positive here.
It's an honor to be nominated. It's good to see you guys.
Mama Manley says hello to three good-looking men. Hello. You guys, we have a very fantastic show for you. I'm glad that people are filling in. I was getting nervous, you guys, because I thought, because this is Leontober, people ain't going to watch it.
Leontober. Ew, that's so like 2008.
Ew, yeah. But yeah, so we have a theme tonight, you guys. We don't have a guest again, and I think that is quite all right. I think some of us seem to think that the show is different in some way when we don't have a guest. I think it's always A++. Mike, do you agree with that? You think it changes a little bit depending on what we have on the show? Let's talk about it. So what's your thought on that?
I mean, it's a different rhythm, when you have a guest.
Sure.
Because you got to get into the rhythm of the guests, and the guest has to feel comfortable and then get into the rhythm of talking. And some people are comfortable on camera, are big hands like us. And other people are, they're like, they kind of warm up.
Yeah.
Over the course of the podcast. So, I mean, there's so many podcasts now. I mean, I think it's pretty common for a lot of people to kind of do the circuit. It seems like there's like a podcast circuit.
Yeah.
But a lot of people want to. I mean, I've had many artists say no.
Yeah, that is a thing.
They don't want to be on camera. They don't want to talk on camera.
Mm-hmm. And to your point, Mike, and I think it's one of those it is what it is things, but I think some fans would be surprised at how there's a large swath of artists who aren't comfortable doing this stuff. I think
it's the opposite. It's the opposite of your day, right? I mean, just like a con. Like sometimes people act kind of weird at cons.
Is that what it is?
Like, a lot of social anxiety.
Yeah.
You're kind of out of your space, and
you need to take a shot before you get on the con floor.
Yeah. I mean, I had an artist I interviewed in the magazine, and I said, "Oh, great! This person would be great for the podcast." And he just straight up told me, "No. If it was another interview in print or whatever, they would be fine." And so I guess it's like a lot of people's fear of social speaking, I guess, except this is even probably another level if you're like on camera and it's going to be available forever.
And it's live. I think that's the part we're not talking about. As I've heard some people go, wait, you're not recording this? Like, nah, bro, we're going live. And I would hate to think that somebody's like pacing around in their kitchen, 15 minutes before they're supposed to come on here.
You can edit this. You'll edit this out, right?
Just like, oh, Marge, where's the Pepto? I don't feel my stomach, my tummy.
I mean, to me, it's just like having a conversation. If you said, hey, you're hungry, you want to go to the diner or you want to go to a restaurant, and you sit down and you just kind of BS back and forth. I think it's very informal. It's not like, I don't know, like being on 60 Minutes where like they're like, ha ha, we got you. There's no gotcha moments on Pencil to Pencil.
Yeah, we don't submarine people. We're not here for clicks. We're not here for likes. We're not, or as the kids say, for clout. Right.
And I think our numbers back us up on that.
Yeah, I think our numbers totally mirror that. You remember this is like way back when we started. I remember somebody saying, Mike, when Brett was here, you know what? You guys are too nice to each other. One of you should be like the X Factor and like start shit.
Well, I've had a few things I wanted to discuss with you guys. So I think this might be a good opportunity.
You got something to get off your chest. Something to get off my chest, Steve Conley.
Grievances.
We don't talk about side quest drives enough.
This grievance to grievance is what this is going to be called soon. So, but yeah, if this is your first time showing up, let me explain what's happening. In front of you, dear viewers, you have 3 expert cartoonists in this room. Well, rooms plural in these studios. There's over, dare I say, 80 years of experience in comics, or something to that effect, right? And we get to talk shop. And you get to interact with us if you're watching live. It's a very fun show. And you might learn something before you're done. So, but tonight, in celebration of Leontober, you guys, which is the continuing celebration of my Scholastic graphics book, Leon Extraordinary, that just debuted last Tuesday. It's been a whole 6 days. No, 7 days.
Number 2 coming out. When's number 2 coming out?
It's funny. I wasn't prepared for that because, as we all know, as comic book artists, you do an issue and somebody goes, "Where's the next one?" Like they just like eat it, and then where's the next one? I'm like, bro, it took me 2 months to draw that. So the act of doing a 272-page graphic novel, it took me a minute, right? It took a while. So I've had kids, I've heard like parents say, "Oh, my kid read it 4 times already. Where's number 2?" And I'm like, bro, I got a minute.
Is there a date for book 2?
We're not talking about street dates yet. Well,
all right.
But
can you say seasons? Can you say look for it?
Well, that's really going to depend on when I get this stuff in. You know what I'm saying? But I think we're looking at, if it's not the end of 23, it might be early 24. Because even if you think about it, it's like, oh, a year, but it's like this book just came out and it's October. Like this year's almost over.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, publishing takes a long time. So even if you did something, and we
Yeah,
talk,
because they work like
they're working years
it's
on
if
this.
it's spring, they're like working next year fall or something, probably,
Right.
right? They're like a whole
Mhm.
year ahead, but like something like a season ahead.
Yeah, so it's kind of like fall, spring, winter,
Yeah,
summer.
I don't think most people realize that book publishing does not relate at all to comic book publishing.
Yeah.
They work like years ahead, bundling books to go be printed overseas, be shipped back,
Hmm.
get to their distribution chains, and all that kind of
Right. Right.
stuff. And I think there for a while there was a paper shortage this year.
Yeah, the paper shortage was real. I don't know if it fixed itself, but that was a thing. There's
Right.
no what didn't they say, was it last year or in the middle, like in the middle of lockdown? There's not enough paper to print the books that are on the drums. You know, like
Or specific kinds of paper, so you'd have to find an alternative paper that would be
mhm,
suitable,
And
and
I
mhm,
then
think
finding a
I think
quantity.
that's still happening too. I think there's still, a lot of print on demand companies and printers all over the place are still having trouble getting the stock they had before.
right. So you know, to that point, it takes a while, but you know, the kids have a ravenous hunger for this stuff. And what makes it really exciting to me to have a series is that I'm creating early, like, you know, thirsty children who want the next sip.
Well,
So
that's why kids love things like Naruto because it's been around like 20 years, or Dragon Ball, or
yeah.
a lot of those, because there's like 50 volumes of it. So it's like,
Mhm,
there's more volumes available of it than they can afford to buy,
mhm,
you know.
yeah. Um, and what's interesting though is that, you know, one of the things I've had to do as far as, you know, the early beginnings of this partnership with Scholastic is start to fix my mindset, you guys, to, because we're very project oriented. Hey, Steve, what's on your table? Mike, what are you working on? Oh, I did this thing. You
Right.
know, it's done. You put it in a knot hole in the tree in the park, and it disappears, and then it shows up on a rack
How did you find out my secret way of working?
in 2 months, right? But and I guess maybe the closest thing to that would be, say, if you're doing, like, if you have a monthly book or you're doing some sort of run on something, you know, it's like, oh, you know, people start to kind of talk about people's work as a, like a weird body, like, oh, you know, so and so's run on this was great. So
Right.
and so's run on that, it wasn't, oh, issue number 49 was amazing. But 50 was okay. They talk about a
Well,
body.
I think that's now because basically nobody does more than 4 to 6 issues of anything, it seems. Then they take that 4 to 6 issues and they put it in a little,
Little trade.
TP, trade paperback, and they were their many companies' strategies is to put out the floppies, as they say, so
Mhm.
that you can have the material to put it in the trade. Because if you just tried to sell it as a trade, the sales would be too low. So it's just really
Right.
weird. There's all these weird formulas, uh, or because of the nature of how the direct sales market still operates, which is, if you, let's say, if Bone just came out starting as a trade paperback,
Right. It's
people
still
would be like, I don't know, 400 pages, but
right.
I don't know if I want to order that. Or if you have the 22 pages for 6 months and then you collect it, they go, oh, well, I know what that is, right?
Hmm. Hmm. And the practice of waiting for the trade, I believe, is still a thing. You
Yeah, yeah.
know, so anyway, I guess what I was getting at is I've had to start thinking about all of this stuff as in, uh, you know, guys, I did this book. Here's a book. I did a book, but my focus is really on the series, you know, and also it's almost like a macro micro thing. You know,
Sure.
this is fantastic. This is what I've done. It took me a year and change, maybe a little more, to get this one done. Now I'm on to the next one. How does this one fit into the next one? So on and so forth. So I have to kind of like zoom out on all of this stuff in a really different way. And it then add in the time it takes, which like Shelly in the chat said, time's different for kids. A year is forever. So that clock is real, and some of the more popular things out in the kids market like Dog Man and stuff. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like those books come out like every 5 seconds, but they're probably every year on clockwork. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I think also with the more illustrative your style, the longer it's going to take you to produce it.
And you were working a full-time job for most of the production of Leon the Extraordinary, right?
For all of it, yeah.
Yeah, so it is hopefully being able to focus more on it, when you're not jet setting.
Is
Making appearance.
Is that what I'm doing? Yeah, well, and that's also a thing now. I'm in promotion mode. I'm doing school visits. I'm doing all that really, cool stuff, and just to make sure that, the book keeps tracking and all the other kind of stuff. And talking to the kids is the best part. But also the eye on the ball pause is that I have to keep working on the books. Thank you, Mama Carla. That's fantastic to hear.
Now you've been getting a lot of feedback this week. You've been getting a lot of love. You've been getting a lot of art. You've been sending you art because of the Leontober prompt that you wisely came up with.
Thank you, Mike Manley.
It's funny because Inktober was like really popular, and then I guess that blew a tire last year. There was a lot of internet controversy, which I didn't really agree with, but it seems like that's inevitable once anything gets popular. It blows a tire at some point. The next wave of people somehow become jaded or offended, or you got to blow it up to get whatever the next thing is. So now there's all these different Tobers,
right?
But I don't know, why is it just Tober? Why can't it be Vember or Sember? Or
I think Vember is for like not shaving your beard or like not touching yourself or whatever. I don't know
not touching, no touch Vember.
But I think because of the impetus of Inktober, it just kind of like that was the month that. Oh, you know what? Also, November is NaNoWriMo, which is a huge thing with writers. You know about that, Mike? It's like you're supposed to. For people who are like, prose writers or whatever, this is your month to try to finish that book.
Yeah. So it's a short form of National Novel Writers Month.
Yes.
NaNoWriMo. And so they try to write a novel in a month.
Go.
Okay. Everybody who's Stephen King can sit down and like, bang out 7 pages a day.
Right, and it seems like, and I think NaNoWriMo was first. Like they were doing that back in like live journal times. I remember that, and but now Inktober, and to Mike's thing, Inktober seems to just morphed into Comictober, and like a lot of people are just kind of creating things. Either people are doing
there's
Battober. Our man Rico Renzi did Pouchtober in celebration of the '90s image.
Beautiful
image style. And Mike, I saw you just did some more Skull Kids the other day, didn't you?
Yeah. I got a couple more sort of roughed out that I'll work on over the course of the next couple of days.
Yeah, I haven't followed any prompts, but I am trying to at least put some ink on paper for the month. So I've been posting a few little things, but it's not following any.
I never followed any either. I never followed. I like doing the basically bleeding off whatever's in my noggin at the end of the day. That's where the Skull Kids came from. It just like that was like I drew that one of her flying a kite in a field with a wrecked pirate ship, and she was flying this skull kite, and so I think the most important thing is to give vent to your imagination and to what I say, just say yes. right? A lot of people choke up. They choke up on the bat, you know. And I think if you get into the process of just letting your imagination go, and don't say no, don't overthink it, don't make it precious, just get into the doing of it. I think that's what Kim Jong-ji did. I know that's what Mobius did. I think he just got into that thing of drawing, and I think you can do the same thing. You know, you can. It's like your imagination is a muscle, is a practice, like going into a to a trance or meditating. Just like when you play sports, right? I always use that analogy. You practice, 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 and then when you're playing it, becomes. But I think a lot of people step on their own instincts.
Mm.
That's an interesting way to kind of frame it. And there's people in the chat saying things like, "Oh, you know what? I couldn't even," or "There's so much else going on." I think, which is kind of messed up, is like I started this thing, and I had this idea that I was going to try to do my best to follow along. I did like 2 or 3 days, and I just put it down. But it's exciting to see all the work come in. I'm sharing. This is the prompts. So this is why Leontober is going all month, y'all. We got more days left. So every day, this is a prompt for you to draw something, or tell a story, or do a comic, or do like a one panel illustration, whatever comes to you. And they're all kind of Leon related or school related.
A whole graphic novel a day.
That's right. You can do it. You don't need to sleep. And so today is the 12th of October, and that would be lunch server is our thing. But before, we didn't tell you what we're doing tonight. So what's going to happen is Mike Manley and myself are going to draw live for you. We're both going to try to tackle today's prompt lunch server. I just got roasted by these guys because I started already, and they were like, "Yo, you can't do that." Yeah, what? Wait, you get out. So I gotta erase it and start over.
Yeah, I've done 6.
Yeah, you
so far. So I think my next one would be secret.
Put an asterisk next to day 12.
That's right.
Juicing.
You're juicing, bruh. And yeah, I'm gonna try lunch server because that's where I started, and I guess I could do any of them if I wanted to. But and you guys get to watch us and remark. So here's the thing, and I've been talking about this earlier. I am going to draw, and Stone Cold Steve Conley is going to man the boards. So once we log into our Cintiqs, Steve is also going to kind of toggle between Mike and I drawing. So I'm not going to really look up too much. So, I'll just have to hear what Steve says. And
full concentration.
So tonight, dear people, Mike, are you on your Cintiq? Or are you going to draw on paper?
I'll be on my Cintiq. No, I'm drawing my Cintiq.
Okay. I'm going to be in my Huion canvas.
Huion?
Yeah, I told you I gave up on Wacom. I went to Huion. I have a Canvas digital tablet. It's fantastic, you guys. I've had one problem with it, and I think I got it like last year or a year and a half ago.
Just pronouncing it. That's the only problem.
Well, there's these two competing companies besides iPads, and Steve is a diehard iPad guy. But Steve, you also use a Cintiq, don't you?
It's here. I have it.
You're all iPad now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel it's a second monitor now. I feel terrible.
That's wild. But there's like, besides Apple, there's two competing kind of like digital drawing brands. It's Xpen and Huion, and I think there's a couple of other ones that are like not, they're like not at the front of the line. And really, I feel like in 2022, this technology is caught up to, if you can like read the paper on your Kindle and do the same action, you shouldn't have to pay $3,000 to do that.
Agreed.
What's the status?
I'm just saying, like my man James in the chat says, it's got an X Pen. It's at 24. You know how big that is? Pause. That's a giant screen, and it was probably for a fraction of the price. So I'm just saying, as the acting crusty critic for Draw Magazine, I'm saying there's other alternatives out there.
Yeah, and the
Your
iPad
mileage may vary.
the iPad Pro is ridiculously expensive. It shouldn't be that expensive. It's too expensive.
But like the Huion's great. You should check it out. They sell them on Huion.com. Just go to Amazon and type it in. There might be a sale. Or even get a little baby one, like a little Fisher Price, my first digital tablet, and see how you feel. See?
Just everything's like 8-bit. Boink, 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 boink.
Tim has a 32-inch. How heavy is that thing? Like, I think those are the ones that have their own like support structure. Like, you can't put that on an
It's
arm.
like a tree house, and then you branching off in your studio.
I draw on a New York Times billboard.
That's right.
I'm down on scaffolding and I'm just drawing on this giant board.
Tim has a drop down ladder that he climbs up it to start it.
I don't know. I mean,
Michelangelo.
the fact is that when you're drawing, the biggest you draw is right about on this area. So even if you have a giant screen, you're not going to be like,
right. Your arm.
Over here drawing.
Your arm span changes, but
yeah. I mean, whatever's comfortable. I mean, I see people have those really giant ones. I mean, I have this is a 13, the Wacom, I'm still drawing everything in the same size that I'm used to drawing. No, maybe it's just because I adapted the electronics to work the way I want to work, as opposed to someone who is starting out and doesn't have all that, so they sort of work and do whatever they want, But I don't know. I mean, if I got a bigger one, then I'd have to readjust my setup, and I really don't want to have to adjust my setup because I'm afraid it'll give me carpal tunnel from working. And everybody I know who works on these things and has that damn board at an angle ends up getting that damn carpal tunnel. It gets a problem with their wrist or problem with their elbow or whatever. And the way I have it, it's flat on my lap board, so I don't have any stress on my hand whatsoever.
That's a good hack, right? And yeah, again, it kind of comes to, as I used to say in the column, YMMV, your mileage may vary. Whatever works for you, if it gets you through your week, if it doesn't crash on you when you need to turn the fibble dibble files in to your client at 3 a.m, great. But I used to be Team Wacom. I'm not on that tip anymore. I think there's other alternatives out there. So, but one thing that I kind of messed up on when I got this Huion, and my old Cintiq, I had an old 12 UX. That's like from the old Cintiqs. They don't even have the drivers anymore. I was going to show some more things. Sorry. That's all right. The thing was so old. Either the tech I had to use was too new, and my computer was too old, or I had a new computer and an old thing. And they never really lined up. So I had on my old Cintiq the hotkeys, like the bar on the side.
Right.
And you could kind of like do your like your
Press
zoom in,
one,
zoom
it
out.
like saws itself in half, and like
all that kind of stuff. You can saw the lady in half.
Yeah.
You saw the lady in half. And on this new one, I was like, I'm not going to get that because I never used them, right? Because every time I would install them, they'd crash, and then I had to reinstall it. So I got this thing, and I wind up holding the side of it, wishing I had those buttons. So I have to do a lot of keyboard, like I do when I manipulate the keyboard to like zoom out or move the whatever. So I got this. This is the I showed this on my Patreon a while ago. It's like I forget what they call it. I think it's a T1000 Terminator. This is kind of like a mobile keypad, so I can I can press the pause, the space bar.
Push the X to get smaller.
Get in the chopper. And this dial right here, can zoom in and out, or I can change it to make the brushes change. So I just kind of keep this in my hand and just either manipulate it or keep it right here. So if you see me like mixing, while we're
You're
drawing.
more machine than man now.
More human than human.
You got like all these like things. You look like a Barry Windsor Smith. You got all these.
So, all right, we're going to get started, but I wanted to go through some of the cool art that I received over the last couple of
Yeah. Show us the art.
So, I didn't put everything in here, but just stuff I found real quick.
What? Somebody's going to be hurt now.
Well, it is what it is. Oh, come on. Okay.
See, Julian.
This was our buddy Tahid Bondia, who did an amazing Leon. This is kind of somebody called this Dark Leon. One of the cool things I like about just looking at everybody's art is kind of like I'm thinking about like, wow, I like how they handle certain aspects of the character, or maybe things that I saw they didn't see. So like the big gloves are always a big part of this, and this is cool. Matt said, "Holy cow!" I assumed everybody's seen this stuff by now because I've been blowing up socials on this stuff. Why does this keep clicking out? Tahid. Here's a Mike Manley.
Ah!
This one was Cape. Was that it?
Mike? Yeah, Cape.
So, and I love Mike's cartoony Leon. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Let's see.
The juice box, the crate. I love so much about that, Mike.
Oh,
Mike, what did you like as you're doing these? What are you kind of like trying to? Is getting the prompt across the biggest thing, or just like acting with the characters, or like what's the nougaty center here?
Well, first you look at the prompt, or you read the prompt, and then you think, well, what pops into mind? Now, sometimes an idea like this just comes in, and then it's like, okay, maybe he's washing his cape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have had him like putting his cape on, but that seems like a little literal, right? Like a literal thing,
yeah.
Like cape, and you have him holding the cape.
Right.
So I try to think of an illustration that tells a story as opposed to being just a literal, like, if you said pumpkin, then I just draw a pumpkin. You know what I mean?
Right.
What kind of pumpkin or whatever. So I was just thinking, oh, maybe he's got to wash his cape,
Yeah, no.
What does he do while he washes his cape? He reads a comic book. And I kind of loosely based his basement off of my basement in a way, or like the kind of basements that you see like in the Philly Northeast area,
Yeah.
And then I was thinking, okay, I didn't want to draw a laundromat, so I put it in the basement. But in order for me to get the cape, I got to use one of those front loader washing machines so I can see it.
Yeah. There's a lot of problem solving in this.
Yes.
Right. And, visually, you're solving a problem that you created, right? And so you're creating a question and then answering it. So, this is a fantastic thing.
That basement window, the one single light, the glove on top of the laundry is also good.
Oh, so good. And the juice, don't forget the juice box.
Love
juice box. Kids love juice boxes. Sunny D has been replaced by juice boxes.
And also the knee. I love that knee. It's so good. It's a good knee.
That is a good knee. Mike draws good knees. Okay, so let's see what else. We'll bang through these. Oh, this is from our man Amani Latif. This might be one of the first I think there's like one or two like early Leon. I hate to call it fan art. I just feel like it's really cool representations of Leon. And Amani has a really cool like chibi style, and I love the energy in this. And I love his little sneakers. This is one of my favorites. This is my favorites. And Amani, I kind of brought this out of the archives. Amani didn't do this for Leontober, but Leontober's for everyone. So, also I think it's really cool just to see different styles. There's another Manley. This one was, which one? What prompt was this, Mike? I think this was gloves. Yeah, glove. So we get to see Leon's ever-present giant gloves. And the idea for his gloves, and I hope you guys have read the book, so it doesn't seem like I'm just talking out of my butt. but these are basically kind of like oversized, like dishwashing gloves or something to that effect. They were probably a little more like if you've ever gone to the hardware store or you have them in your garage, kind of like mechanics gloves or something. I
Yeah,
just thought,
that's
right,
what I
I just thought of that they were gloves that were too big for him. So also this was kind of like my cheat because I draw big hands anyway, so
cartooning.
I designed him so I didn't have to worry about how big his hands were. And this is also a good one. I love the Ultraman kaiju thing over there. And I don't draw enough animals. That's something that I got from this. Like I love him petting the dog. And I was like, shit, I got to draw more animals in my stuff. But that's great. This was my good buddy, the Doc, who's been rolling with me way back since the Indie Cred All Stars. Drew this is in celebration of my career. That's Jamar from the Jamar Chronicles back in '98. My first comic.
Is that the Chronicle?
that is the Chronicle, yes. Where he's jumping through dimensional space with my newest creation, Leon. I thought that was cool, and I always loved his style. It was nice. It's very bubbly. I feel like I'm curating now. Oh, this is my boy Samax. Everybody knows Samax ain't man in these streets. Air horn. This might be the first Leon drawing that somebody did for me as Samax.
Or Leon Tobor, or just in general?
He did this a couple of years. This is probably like from 2016 or something. 2017, Samax did that, and I love his stuff. It's so chunky. Also, I love that you can see his eyes through the goggles, which I think that's an interesting touch. Oh, and this is from George Gant. George just did this.
Yeah.
We had George on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He did this kind of like toddler version of Leon. And I love the Kirby hands too. I think that's great. And Tim Fielder just painted this. I love that. Tim said in the chat that he needs to. I think he did like a speed up version, like a process version of that
video.
Yeah, he'll have to show us that. That's fantastic. It's so good, and it's kind of like I don't want to be jealous of this.
This is an old one.
Yeah, this is an old one. This was, I think Mike drew this for me a while ago, and this is kind of like you can even see like Leon, like the way Mike handled Leon is different than how he looks now. So it's kind of like more like me, like little Jamar as Leon. But I just love it. And then there's the kaiju again. I think that's great. And his mom checking in on him. And this one, John Broglia, who's another great cartoonist. John and I met through the FOO forum, the Friends of Oming, going back in time.
Okay.
And John's fantastic cartoonist and does a lot of great comic work. And he blessed me with this. And I was just like, wow. Bringing it back to the playground, I love it, and it just has a lot of joy in it, and that's what I love about this is joy. And and if you look at Leon and what I'm doing, I don't want to think what I'm doing with Leon is sappy, or it's corny or saccharine. I just want it to be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when
happy now is having fun, like
it could,
that's so like
it could be, Mike. Like, especially if we think about just, a lot of generic fans of chiclet teeth comics, like Dark Claw or Blood Blade and stuff like that. Like seeing Blood. That's OOD and then the U umlaut D. Steve, were you going to say something? It sounded like you're about to.
No. I love that piece so much.
Isn't it great? And I love how everybody's using Zip too, and I think all of this is digital. So, here's another one from Mike, where we get to see Clementine. If you read the book, Clementine is Leon's frenemy, and she can shapeshift. So, I just love her being in the way, and also I love about Mike's Leon is I love the way he makes the capes. He makes his capes are almost like another character in the book. I mean, and his illustrations. I love the way you make the capes flow.
Well, you're just trying to like make a nice, shape.
A nice shape, right? And Mike, after doing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. And Mike, after doing so many years of superhero comics, is there kind of like a cape foo? Like, do you ever study, or did you kind of lean back into the history or other people that you were really into? And like, I really like how X did capes, or I really love Neil Adams capes, or something like that.
I think the best cape guys were like basically Buscema, Kirby, and Gil Kane, because they always made the shape interesting. The shape flowed into or flowed out of the figure, which gave the figure more motion. Like Kirby had that way of drawing, like everybody had those big starched capes, you know, like a stylization thing.
Like,
you know,
yeah.
people's capes wouldn't. You didn't think of that, but like when you, especially like on Thor, he gave him those big arched capes, which always just made him much more. Or Doctor Doom or somebody like that made him much more dynamic. And then Kane picked up on it, or Buscema picked up on it, and I just always liked those. I always liked the shape. I mean, it's really, it's like when drawing Batman. It's really easy to make him clunky if you don't make the cape interesting. That's what Perro did. That's what Neil Adams did. They, you know, it's what Wrightson did. You know, they made the cape interesting. In case of somebody like Wrightson, he really pushed. There's that one shot that everybody remembers from Swamp Thing, I think #6, where Batman's standing on top of a chimney and the cape is blowing, and the cape is like 20 feet long. I mean, it's like, it's way longer than, you know, a cape would be in reality. But that, again, that's the part of cartooning. You know, he's running and then the scallops make these nice shapes. It wouldn't really happen that way, but that's the kind of thing you can do with cartooning. So also in the case of Leon, because he's got all this gadgets in his belt and everything, it's a way of silhouetting the figure, right, to make the figure read. So that's something I noticed from Kirby or Buscema or Gil Kane especially, is the figure and then the cape, and the shape of the cape would help silhouette or separate the figure from the background.
The cape shape.
Yeah. So like even there, exactly is what I'm talking about. You know, the cape becomes a shape that silhouettes his figure.
I love it. Yeah, so this was just a little sample of stuff we got. Guys, you're not too late. If anybody wants to take a stab at it, just draw stuff. The prompts are on my social, and just put it out on your on your Insta or your Twitter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to send it to me. As long as you hashtag it Leontober and hashtag Leon Extraordinary. Thank you. And I'm waiting. And you know, I already owe Steve stuff, so I'm not even going to press him about him doing one. But Steve did the sculpture. Steve did a 3D sculpture for me?
Yeah, I don't really have a way to share it.
That's okay.
But I put it on like that kind of lathed base. I need to make some. He needs to be on books. I need to have his figure stacked on books.
I love it. It's like a bust you made.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's a lot of love in the chat for Aparo, McFarlane capes. Yeah, so there's a lot. It's a lot. People are loving this. So thanks for sharing this.
Thank you. All right.
You know, when I worked on the Batman cartoon, because he was black and the cape was black, eventually we went to that next design. Bruce Timm worked out all these drawings and theories to help people like do's and don't pose them this way because it's not clear. Pose them this way because it's clear. And so a lot of things that you do with a character like that, in order to make him look good, is really about the pose and the design. And so that was very, very interesting because you could lose his hands or you could lose his arms if you didn't have the arm away from the body and the cape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I guess we need to start drawing before we run out of time.
Filibustering. Come on.
Yeah.
Break out those pens.
All right. So we're gonna turn over the chat to Stone Cold, and he's gonna drink a Steve Weiser, and let's get started. So hold on, I gotta set my deal up here. I'm not ready to share yet. So
behave yourselves, everybody, or I will turn this stream around.
And Steve is gonna like toggle between the two of us. So I'm not ready.
Whichever one pleases me more. I'm not seeing you in the queue here yet.
I'm doing it now.
Okay, cool.
Right,
Uh-oh. That's how quick he just did that while it was loading the screen.
Oh yeah, so I got yelled at because I just started drawing already. So I'm going to probably just erase this. It's okay. I'll be all right. And and Steve, if you have like, I don't know, if you want to like give us something to riff off of while we're drawing, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, first off, what programs are you all working in?
I'm working in Clip Studio.
Okay.
I am also working in Clip Studio Paint.
I guess that's what it's called anyway.
Yeah, Clip Studio Paint Pro or EX, Mike.
What is this? This is Clip Studio Paint.
Right, but there's two versions. One is that lets you do stories, which you could do like a whole book inside one file, and the other one you can only do one illustration at a time. That's the big difference between the two. That's it. So, maybe Steve, maybe if you could tell us who's on screen, so I can like react to it.
Yep, I'm doing a little bit of a cheat here.
Okay.
Whoa!
Oh! Infinite screens.
There we go.
Okay, Mike's already started his third one.
Ha!
And are you both following the prompt of?
Yeah, well, I forget which one Mike's doing. Secret, I think.
No, I'm going to go ahead and do the lunch.
Okay. So one thing that I've been doing lately is when I'm doing stuff in Clip, I kind of like, I don't have a better name for it, but I like to do these like ghosts, is what I've been calling them. Like I just do these really low opacity like blobs. I'm just basically kind of blocking in kind of an idea of what I'm going to do, and then I kind of keep going back into it and pulling something out of it.
Yeah, I do this. Well, yeah.
Mike just makes he just spins gold on his loom.
Yeah.
That's all Mike does.
Sure. Yeah.
Like Rumpelstiltskin.
And Shelly in YouTube says, I think in 2023, Clip Studio will have a totally new build and they'll go with a subscription model. What do you think about that, guys?
Well, I think it's interesting because, if you're using Clip Studio on iPad, I believe, or Android, it's a subscription. But if you use it on desktop, you just pay for it outright. I don't know if a lot of people either know that or just that's kind of how it works. So, it's already kind of on a subscription. But to Shelley's point, I wouldn't be surprised if it totally changes.
A compliment from JRD on Facebook that Jamar, he loved that the lunch bots had hairnets.
Thank you. Well, safety first.
Yeah, the reason I never got Clip Studio on my iPad just because it was a subscription fee. I'm so opposed to having another monthly fee.
And I think that's one of the weirdest things about Clip. And I don't know if you notice it, but we used to talk about our sponsors, Clip Studio Paint. When we came back from break, we kind of stopped doing that. It's just, it's like everybody's got it at this point. Go get it.
Tim Fielder on Facebook proposes something, a thought. The way you guys are pumping this out, I wonder if a Manley Nicholas middle grade book is in the future. Here's an idea: spend one pencil to pencil, just working on that.
Jamar and I have actually come up with several ideas over the years. We never did anything.
Yeah. I think. I think that's always something that Mike and I could accomplish or approach. So for anybody that kind of like goes along with that idea, what would you guys like to see? Would you like to see me write something and Mike draw it, or vice versa?
And there's a lot of love for you. You got to do it. Come on, guys.
All right, let me get right on that.
You both draw and write.
Oh, like we take turns? Like, I don't know.
We're going to be on the stream anyway. We might as well put out a middle grade book.
Yeah. But this is the cool thing about my ergo arm. I can turn the whole screen.
Nice. And the arm's holding the weight of the...
Yeah.
That's sweet.
It's kind of loose, but I need to, I should probably tighten it, but...
Yeah, as a consensus, you both have to write and draw it.
Okay. So kind of what I did was I used that blob and then I put it on a different layer and I just kind of start drawing over the shapes. It's kind of, and I'm kind of surprising myself while I'm working too. Because, I don't exactly know what I'm doing yet, but.
Love it. Love it. I've got a question. So is there a specific model of Huon that you're using, Jamar?
I'm using the Canvas 20. I think there's another Canvas 20. There's a Canvas 20 Pro, and I think the only difference is it's kind of like a 4K resolution type thing. And I'm using an old iMac, so I don't really need all of that. And I kind of feel like at some point they're just selling you wolf tickets. Like, how much resolution how much retina display do you need? For real. You know what I mean? I can see it. That's really all that matters.
And Mike, what you're working on a Cintiq?
Yep.
What
I'm working on a 13-inch Cintiq.
That's a small one.
Yeah.
It's
like this, like.
Doesn't offend your eyes?
No, it's perfect. It's the window I'm working in now is exactly the size that I need it to be. You know, if I had one that was, let's say the screen was 7 inches bigger, right? I'd still be working in the screen would be bigger. The only thing that would probably help with is I wouldn't have to zoom in and out as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one big difference working digitally is zooming in and out.
You don't have a problem with the menus and the various icons being too small?
No, because I mean I'm only using.
That was my only problem with some of the smaller screens, but I'm old.
Well, my eyes, I'm sure, are worse than your eyes. So
I think I just got lazy really quickly. As soon as I had the ability to pinch and zoom, I suddenly was like, I don't have to go to the doctor. I don't have to go to the eye doctor every year, do I?
I think that's going to be the name of Steve and I, our new webcomic, Pinch and Zoom. What do you think?
We're looking at Jamar's screen right now, and it's fantastic.
Oh.
Mike, you're gonna.
Are you telling Mike to step it up?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I'm afraid the bar is being raised at the moment.
You're killing me, man.
I'm not saying it's a competition, but there's a lot of wagering going on in chat.
That's great. What do you guys, and this is, nobody ever asks this, or, you know, where else would you get this unsolicited advice, but I'm very interested in what people think of Leon's design. Like he kind of lives in my head, and now he's in the world, and I've been very appreciative of how people receive him. But I wonder, like, what do you guys think of him as a character, or like the design of him? That's kind of what I really take away from all of these drawings from people. It's like, oh, I love everybody's take on it, but what do you think?
I love the design. I think it has that unique silhouette, which is such a big deal. The idea that you can just silhouette the character and know immediately who it is. I think it's a very unique design. I think the hair helps identify the character. I think the shorts and the the kind of the skinny legs and the big gloves too. All of that stuff makes it real easy to tell the character as a silhouette who it is.
Cool. Thanks.
And Matt on the YouTube says, I like it. Homemade but iconic.
I like that homemade. Did you ever see Silver Linings Playbook with Bradley Cooper and J Law? You never saw that? With De Niro and Bradley Cooper and Crystal? It's a great movie. It was a very Philadelphia movie. But De Niro, Bradley Cooper lives in Delco, Delaware County, and there's a lot of like Philadelphia speak, and the mother makes everybody watch the Eagles game on Sunday, and she makes Krabbies and homemades, which it was kind of a made up thing, but you can totally imagine some Philly mother having what do you call superstition food at an Eagles game. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why I brought that up.
Some lovely praise from Tim Fielder and Facebook.
Yeah, what did Tim Fielder say?
A truly classic design. It harkens to Schoolhouse Rock, meaning it has a Floyd Norman Verb vibe, but it also is very much hip hop. Absolutely heart-filled design.
Oh, well, thank you, Tim Fielder. The check's in the mail, brother. Thank you so much. Wow.
The Schoolhouse Rock is seconded by JRD.
So tell me about that Schoolhouse Rock thing, because when I hear things like that, it makes it sound like, oh, well, like it's simple. It is like, that's what I hear, but I don't know. Am I kind of like misconstruing the compliment? And no knock to the compliment. I really appreciate it. But like, what is the appeal of something like a Schoolhouse Rock? Does it feel nostalgic, or is it simple, or maybe I'm thinking too much about it.
JRD is saying not simple, efficient. I think the efficient part of it. I like it because it is. I like the color choices too. It's sort of an unclaimed portion of the palette. Not a lot of green. Shelly says it's just fun.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you.
And we're going to cut back over to Mike, see how he's doing.
That's probably for the best.
Oh, love those expressions. I got a question here about from Bill O'Donnell on YouTube.
Yo, what up, Bill?
So has Barnes and Noble caught back up with the Leon orders?
From what I hear, and kind of what Bill's speaking of is there's kind of like the scene have been like an issue with the hardcovers. There's plenty of paperbacks, but I think traditionally in this space they don't really order a lot of hardcovers. That's something you don't really see a lot of sales of in like traditional kids book publishing. It's usually paperbacks. So I mean, I'm just saying that as from what I know about the market. I'm not saying that they're all sold out and trying to create a panic. I'm not saying any of that. But I think
better get yours today.
Yeah.
People are going to be like Black Friday, like knocking each other down. That's my Leon.
No, it's mine. But I think that just could be something to be said about it. I just think there might not be a lot. So I'm not exactly sure about when they're going to be back in. You're just going to have to keep checking.
All right, Mike, got a process question for you here. This is for me over on StreamYard.
From Steve. Hey, Steve.
You've changed the color of the pencil you're sketching in.
Yeah.
What do you? How come?
Why?
Yep.
Well, just
explain yourself.
I do that very often because what I'm trying to do is pull out the shapes, define the shapes. So I like the red, and then I can go back over with a blue to get the shapes that I want, define the shapes. And then I'll be able to ink on top of that. So I'm trying to get the gesture and the energy first. So
that's great.
If I was doing this traditional, probably what I would be using is one of those red color erase pencils. And then I would go back, or I would go over it with a regular pencil.
Love it. Love it.
It probably comes from also my animation, studying animation. A lot of times you would see, the animators would work in different colored pencils. They would do like a rough and a red and go over it with a blue, or a light blue and then go over it with a red. It's just a way of clearing up the drawing.
And let's give a tip of the bucket to Steve Conley for manning the ship tonight. Thank you so much, Steve. You're doing a fantastic job.
We cut back over to Jamar's screen.
I just prompted you to give me some credit.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. And James on YouTube says his design is readable and has identity, and you can imagine a kid putting that costume together.
Yes, thank you, James. What a fantastic compliment. Thank you so much. That was really the impetus of when I designed this guy, moons ago. It's kind of like if you ever just kind of look in, I guess what you would call just play I'm using my college pedagogy words. A child at play. This is like a very basic thing you would expect. Kid with gloves and cape and runs around and in the backyard going like this and posing a lot. And I was like, well, shit, why don't I just make that character? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's immediately recognizable because that's you.
My dad actually has films of me as a kid.
Dressed like Leon?
Basically, dressed like Superman, a kid playing Superman, which is dressed like Leon of me jumping around.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And that's really the whole vibe I wanted for Leon. And kind of like how they have the whole thing like, the new Miles Morales, like anyone can wear the mask type of thing. It's like, I just wanted that same kind of energy for a character that is immediately accessible to anyone.
Where did that goggle shape come from?
You know what? I started using this for this book. In Protect of the Playground, he kind of had more like, straight on like kind of like plague doctor goggles, or they're just more like steampunk goggles.
Yeah.
But I started making these shapes, Steve. So like when his costume changes, you can tell them they're a little different from the last ones. Mm-hmm. So as he has costume changes, he'll have different shaped goggles. So this is kind of what it is right now. And in Protector of the Playground, like you saw him have kind of like his school uniform for the semester, which was like battle suit. And then when he came home after school, he had his play clothes. You remember your play clothes, Steve Conley? You can't wear your church shoes out backyard. You got to change your clothes. So, and this was kind of like his his like play outfit, which in my head canon was his uniform from the year before that now got traded out. Like when you wear the busted up stuff that is too bummy to wear to school. So, and Extraordinary is basically a origin story for Leon and a prequel. So you can kind of see this is what Leon was doing in his grade before Protector.
So with this piece so far, we're seeing the kind of rough, really blocky shapes you put in. Then we've got the red initial sketch on top of those shapes. And then we've got the blue tightening it up.
Yeah. And, so I don't always do this, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I just need more. I need more oomph on it. Like, I probably could have just done that. You know what I mean? But sometimes I'm just kind of vibing off of the ghosty stuff.
Is that usually the process for you? Like, is it like 3 or 4 stages of sketching before we get to the inks?
Yeah, now it is, because some people who are used to knowing my drawing, would say things like, "Oh, it's really sketchy," or it's very like loose. And this is me trying to like refine my stuff, so I just kind of hit it more than once to try to make it work better. But that's just all in my head. Like nobody told me to do it this way, but it just makes me feel like I'm just giving it a little more care than I'm so used to drawing fast that I started to feel like my work looks like I drew it fast, if that makes sense.
That's great.
So this is kind of me slowing down, even though I'm still drawing fast.
Well, I've got a question about the title, the logo. Rob, am I reading that right? My old eyes. Rap is on YouTube is asking, is the O in the title art supposed to be the shape of his goggles?
Oh wow! Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. No, that's really cool. No, you know what? The that kind of like weird like shape on the O was kind of off of my original logo I did for Protector of the Playground, which was more like a little graffiti-ish. So that's kind of just like a callback to the original logo. But I didn't really think that was his goggles. But that's a good no prize right there. Let's use it. Thanks, bro.
Right. We're checking in with Mike. He's messing with the lunch lady's face.
Yeah, I keep redrawing her face because I'm not
happy with it.
exactly happy with it.
You don't know how encouraging that is to see Mike. so many of us redrawing and redrawing something a million times.
Well, everybody redraws. I think, see, that to me, that's like normal. People just assume that you don't redraw, that you draw everything. But I don't think that that's true. You know, I think that you are constantly redrawing stuff.
I think it's a testament to how finished your work looks when it's done. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so, you can't. I remember seeing Mike Waringo's work, and the piece I was looking at was something that had, I think it was at Heroes Con. I was looking at his work, and I was like, it didn't look like there was that it had ever been sketched. It looked like he went straight to ink. It looked like there was no baby steps along the way. It looked like this just came out perfect. And
woke up like struggle. This. Right. Felt cute, made delete later. Right.
We're watching you think, Mike, says Shelley.
Yeah.
And can we just add, you guys, even though we're all professionals here, how low-key intimidating it is to draw next to Mike? Can we just say that? Like, I've dealt with that for almost 2 decades, or however long Mike and I did that.
Why is that at all intimidating?
It is, but it isn't. Like, I feel like, I hold my own, so I'm okay with it. But it could be easy to get stage fright. Hanging around with Mike Manley.
Very nice comment from Wolfie on YouTube. Just discovered Pencil to Pencil a couple of weeks ago. Super fun shows. Thanks, Wolfie. Thanks for being here.
Yo, good looking out, Wolfie. Checks in the mail. Steve, how are we doing, bro?
Doing great. We're doing great. Yeah. Oh, my goodness, this is fantastic. I'm a little hypnotized. I'm not gonna lie.
Are we supposed to be finished? Is that what's happening?
No. You just get it to where you want it to get to, and we're doing it on time. You got 2 more hours to go.
Yeah, that's not happening. And I want to give some props to Steve's. Steve, are you still doing your live stream?
I am. Tuesdays and Thursdays, if people want to catch me. Usually I'm working on 3D models, sculpting on Twitch. If you go to twitch.tv/Steve Conley, you can join me tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock East Coast time till about 8 o'clock East Coast time. I'm almost always working in Nomad Sculpt. So if you want to learn how to 3D model on your iPad or on your Android device, I can give you some pointers. You can watch me do exactly what Mike's doing here, but in 3D. A lot of problem solving, a lot of just trying to get it to the point where you want it. I'm sculpting an Argosy Smith, a character from my old series, Astounding Space Thrills.
Space Thrills.
And the problem is it looked a lot like Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And oh, Mike, it's amazing. We just watched it come together, come into focus. Matt Moringo says, this is like the Great British Bake Off. Need to shout out the time remaining every 15 minutes. It's fantastic. And Adam, hello, Adam, on Facebook. Love everything you all do.
Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Guys, we're super close to 1,000 subs. It only took us 3 years, but we're almost there, you guys. Please share your love of this podcast. Tell your friends. I'd love to have pencil to pencil watch parties. Call your crew up and like, yo, We're not going to the club tonight. We're watching Pencil to Pencil.
Oh, cutting back to Jamar. Oh my goodness, that looks fantastic.
That should be fish stick knife gun. $3.99.
So you were trying something else. You were going to focus from the perspective of the lunch lady at first.
Yeah. If you noticed that before I got shamed, I originally the perspective was going to be like from behind the lunch box vantage point, but I changed it, and I just thought this would kind of be like a cooler angle. I don't know. I feel like this works in a different
I want to
way.
put my 3D glasses on.
Yeah, and it's just like if I just kind of drew this without it, I don't know. So my idea is still to like go back in here and like maybe pencil it again or ink it. I don't know.
Is there a trick to getting the age right of the characters, because it's such a thing that you have to balance? Is there any kind of?
Yeah, here's my trick. I don't know what I'm doing, so that's my secret, Cap. I don't know what I'm doing. No, that's not.
I'm always confused.
I'm always confused. No, really, you know what? Really, what I do some cheats. So one of my cheats is that when it's just two kids talking to each other, they seem a lot bigger, because the idea in my head is when you were young, everything seemed bigger to you, but the kids that you were around seemed to be of the proportionate size.
Right, sure.
Right. So like you spend all day in 5th grade with your buddies and you're all goons, but then you go home and your big brother, who's 16, is like 8,000 feet tall.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you only really see a difference in them when they're around adults. So like I kind of changed the camera, like, so I think they look like kids, but they're still, they still seem to take up the page.
And what about the challenge of the expressing with the goggles on? Do you have that need, like the MCU, to constantly take the mask off so you can see the faces and see the expression?
No, you know what? It's funny that when I did Protector of the Playground, he didn't take his goggles off the whole book until the very last page, where you got to see his eyes, and I felt like that was a nice expressive moment. But a lot of the acting is his eyebrow. Like I do a lot of stuff with that, like that little swoop there.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like you don't even see his eyebrows. It's more kind of like a cartoon emote, just like that.
Oh, I just jumped over. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. So I don't know. I would rather, like, my kind of Leon rule is that Leon, when he's in school, he's in hero mode, so his goggles are on. But when he's home, his mom yells at him to take those things off. So
you're hurting your eyes.
You gotta listen to moms.
And the hashtag, James, is Leontober. And also, if you do Leon the Extraordinary, hashtag Leon the Extraordinary. Those are both. By all means, if you're working on something right now, please do share it and do use those hashtags so we can take a look. And maybe we can share them next week. Maybe the warm up for next episode. We can show some things that you all have done. So
yeah, that'd be fantastic. And Steve, you can keep us honest if you want to like wrap or say, all right, let's kind of give it a couple more minutes. That's cool.
Yeah, we're gonna start lowering the landing gear here.
Okay.
We're gonna try to end on time for a change. But Mike's already inking.
I'm not there. I can try. Hold on.
And yes, digital inks count. That was a question earlier on.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I was just really liking this purple and red thing. I might just leave it alone, but I feel like
it's looking great.
Thank you. I feel like I need to finish it.
And Shelley pointing out younger kids use more body language than adults.
Yeah. So, and this is like, how old is this trope? Oh, the lunch food is gross. Like, I didn't make that up. You know what I mean? But that's like a very evergreen thing. Like, how could you not do that? You know?
All right, good. Jump back to Jamar's screen. Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you, Steve. I'm trying to find a good capacity to try to start inking this. I want to at least throw a couple of lines in.
And there are quite a few comments in chat throughout the entire episode. Talk of folks who have picked up their copies of the book. People have their hardcovers.
Nice.
So it's great to know that it's out there.
Thank you guys so much. It means the world. Appreciate you.
This can't be how fast you normally ink. Is this how fast you normally ink, or is this sketch speed? Is this like convention sketch speed?
No, this is it.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
this is why it takes me 6 years to do 300 pages.
But don't you ink this fast? Also, I've seen, and maybe we could talk about this, is that I've seen some people who are like addicted to the undo.
Mhm.
You know, like it's like curve undo, curve undo, curve undo, curve undo.
Oh, I feel seen.
Is it? Do you do that, Steve?
I try not to. The thing is, I'm so uptight about my inks. It's like if it's too perfect, I'll undo it. I'm shooting for something that's 85% perfect, and if it's too perfect, I don't want it. Then, so basically, I've just moved the goalposts of perfection to something less than geometric.
It's tough. It's tough. You know, but I try to just, you know, I'll like, I guess I'll say I'll fix it in post or something like that. Like, you know, like I just want to keep moving. But then I kind of pay for it when I spend a million years erasing stuff.
And we got a technical question for you, Jamar. D. Brad Gibson on Facebook asks, when you drew the red, what pencil or pen settings did you use?
Would it be bad to say I don't know? Like I've always been just kind of like a touchy feely. All right, let me see what I can.
Well, did you adjust the pen or did you adjust the layer opacity?
All I use is the G pen in Clip.
Yeah, that's all I use. Yeah.
All I use is the G pen, and I either mess with the brush size or the opacity. That's all. I don't really mess with it. And I've been doing this weird thing, and this is probably not good, but I'm inking. I put it on like 99 opacity, not 100.
I do.
Yeah,
I do Procreate 98%.
Yeah, just to kind of give it a little bit of, you know, a little bit of see-through. Like if you were inking for real, you know, there'd be some kind of like drier strokes, pause.
Sure. It's so subtle. It's so subtle, but it makes such a big difference.
Yeah. But yeah, like one of the biggest things for me is just using Clip is that, you know, you can just like do this, you know, play with layers and just, you know, not have to worry about it, I guess is what it is. You know, I don't think I'll ever really give up paper, but this is kind of, all this just kind of makes it happen so much faster. It's just like one thing I don't have to really worry about, if that makes sense.
And we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. If you have any questions for Mike and Jamar, now's the chance to get them in.
Where did night go? It can't be that. It can't be over, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And if you have questions for me, keep them to yourself. No.
I at least want to try to finish this phase real quick. You know, again, even with, you know, all these fantastic Leons that I've been seeing, you know, I'm still learning this character, you know, so there might be some things that I really enjoyed at the beginning of the book like I had to go back and either fix or just like eat it. It was like, oh, like I like the way Clementine's nose looks now, but it's not necessarily so bad that I need to go back and fix it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I was more anal, I would probably really like bother me to say, oh, that thing's not right. That thing's not right. And I think it could be a little bit of a conceit of my style that I can kind of get away with things like that. Maybe I'm wrong. But so far, nobody said, hey, you drew that. He doesn't have that many dreadlocks on his head in that page. Like, nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like, that's, and I kind of like that energy.
Was there something with Leon that you really didn't think through when you first did it? You're just like, it was sort of thing like, I like this. It's fun. It's solving a problem right now. And in the long term, it's paid off and you're so happy you did it. Is there something like you surprised yourself with some of the choices you made early on?
Like design wise or the book?
Yeah, design wise, maybe, or the characters or the relationships.
That's a really good question. I think here's something. I think what was really important to me is that the kid had dreadlocks. I did not have dreadlocks when I was a kid. I am not Leon. I have to tell people that all the time.
You're Leon! I know your secret!
Or even worse is when people call me Leon. I'm like, you're not really paying attention, are you? It's probably his hair, right? Because, kind of being in the space where it's like, I have this kind of like new attention on me and like the character is who he is. I'm glad he doesn't have a different type of haircut. But it's funny, I had a school visit early last week. Actually, it was on launch day. And this little girl raised her hand and said, why are his lips so big? And everybody got like the air left the room. Like she said a bad word. And I was like, that's a good question. Because, not like people are running around saying that, but I'm sure if you're, I don't know, maybe looking to find a problem, you would say, well, why is his lips so big? And I said, well, you know what? Everybody looks different, and everybody has different facial features, and these are Leon's, and that was it. We moved on with our day.
That's great.
So that's and I think all the characters in my books look different from each other, and I don't think I draw any two characters alike, but I think they all kind of have my whatever style to them. So like his buddy Carlos doesn't look like Leon design wise, and all of that's kind of on purpose. But like how we talked earlier about the silhouette or making characters discernible from each other, like that's always super important to me. Sorry, I'm talking so much.
Oh no, that's great. We got a couple of questions. El Jamal Walton asks, are there any elements from other people's versions of Leon that you plan to incorporate in the next book? You can admit for legal reasons that you.
No, you know what? I'm glad you asked that. And like, no, it's not like, oh man, I really wish. I think there's some really great takes on it, but I don't think there's anything I need to hate. You know what I mean? And I'm really comfortable with how Leon looks at this point. So in book 2, all of a sudden he's not going to have like a low Caesar in a do-rag. You know what I mean? Like I'm not doing that. I think what was really interesting was Tahid's, where he kind of gave him it was kind of like a dark, rooftop, protector type of Batman character, which I thought was cool. But also, I think that's, and this isn't, I'm not knocking Tahid because I really enjoy his, and he's got a lot of great responses to his drawing. But I think that's what people expect Leon to be. Like if you pick the book up and you're like, oh, when's he gonna like bust some heads? You know what I mean? Because that's, as comic book fans, that's what we're expecting. So when I'm doing things in the story, like, well, he doesn't like he doesn't want to solve his problems with violence. That sounds so like, what? What's wrong with you? But as somebody who has the attention of kids now, like I feel like I have a duty to try to change stuff. You know what I mean? So let's try to not be so violent. I think, and that's my challenge to my art. Like how is he going to get out of scrapes without punching a kid in the face? Something to think about.
Is that something you talk to them about?
I told them about it, and they went, oh wow, that's really, you know what I mean? They were, I don't know. I don't think anybody thought about it, or nobody, asked me to create the anti-superhero hero who solves his problems by not stabbing people on a playground. You know what I mean? It just kind of like I just said it.
Next series, Leon the Stabber.
I just said this is what I'm trying to do, and if you read the book and people can maybe agree or see parts of where I was trying to make that happen come into play. But that's really on my mind. What I'm doing is just like I just want it to feel like there's another way to solve your problems than punching people in the face. I think it's a good message for kids, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I would have assumed that they would not. Well, I mean, I guess I always think that there's a difference between action and violence. Right?
Well, oh yeah, I agree with that. But I think also we're kind of attuned to, especially in like, American superhero comics, is like that's just part of it. You know what I mean? Well, I can't wait to see Robin and Slade fight because that's what it is, right? I don't really think I'm trying to buck the system, but it's a part of the struggle for me. Can I make this stuff exciting and inviting and also not do what you think is going to happen, what's going to be normally done, if that makes sense?
Well, where will folks be able to see the finished versions of these pieces? You're going to post them to your social media?
Sure.
All right. So everyone be sure to follow Mike and Jamar on Twitter, and if you're and on Facebook. I think there's both have art pages on Facebook that you can follow.
And on Instagram.
And on Instagram. That's great. And and we'll probably also share maybe at the beginning of next episode, we can share the finished pieces for folks who aren't on social. Sure. And then we can also show some of your pieces. So if folks have post your Leon Tober images, hashtag Leon Tober, hashtag Leon the Extraordinary. And we can share those.
Should I stop drawing?
No. We've got 2 questions left. I wanted to touch on, but I wanted to share where things are.
Oh, look at that! That's great. Look at the jowls. Here you go, kids.
There's that little extra fold you have in the glove, Mike, at the hand, right at the bottom there. I love that. It's like the Leon knee. It's just this beautiful. But we've got some questions here. Muhammad asks on YouTube, do you guys enjoy writing comics as much as you enjoy drawing them?
Mike, you want to go first? And Steve, you should answer too, because you're part of it.
I don't know. I can't say because I don't really write the stuff I draw for the most part, unless it's my own stuff. But so I can't say that I've written, if I haven't written 100 issues of something. So.
I guess with me, because I'm doing all of this, I'm writing the stories and drawing it. I think I like drawing the most. Like I can't wait to get to the drawing part, and the writing is kind of like not a hurdle, but like a chapter I need to complete. You know what I mean? And I think is also, and like a lot of us who watch this are probably visual thinkers. So I problem solve visually, and to kind of like stop my forward brain thrust to type words, you know what I mean, is kind of like a different part of my head. Does it make sense, Steve?
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
Not to say I don't like it, but it's just like, oh, I have to revise a script. Okay. It's a different motion than it is drawing. But I think they're both equally important, especially with kind of like what I'm trying to do with this Leon stuff. Because
Sure.
like it's a big lift, and everything has to kind of line up for the story to work.
Yeah, I absolutely love them both. I love them. There's a couple of episodes where I'm like, the writing is absolutely, the art might have turned out nice, but and I'm not, I will look back on my art and go, oh, I could have done that better. The writing I don't have that issue with as much, so it's kind of nice to look back on some writing that really works. But also, do you find that you'll start drawing something and it changes the writing? Like I've often
Yeah.
I basically write with the Marvel method. I have an outline of what I think I'm going to sit down at the page, and I know this page has to accomplish something. And as I'm trying to solve that problem, it will change the way I've written it. And then basically, like Stan Lee, I deliver the page to myself, and I have to rewrite it based on what I've drawn.
Yeah, that I've done that a lot. Or like I've solved a problem that I hadn't figured out yet when I wrote it, but then I looked at the pages, like I like to say zoom out a lot, and then I go, oh, okay, I got it, and then I could fix it in the art, and then put words in the kids' mouths. That's kind of what I do a lot.
And
Wolfie,
newcomer Wolfie on
what up, Wolfie?
Says, I've noticed some all ages books have robots or inanimate things that become alive, and the protagonist punch them instead of other people.
That's on purpose.
Yeah, that was on Samurai Jack. He could not hack somebody with his samurai sword.
Right. Even though he has a samurai sword.
Even though he has a samurai sword, he could not hack with a samurai sword. So if you notice, every time he hacked a robot, oil came out
instead of blood.
Right. I mean,
all right, we got one. I think this will be the last question, and I know you guys are we're gonna end the stream, and you're gonna keep drawing. I know it, but Bill O'Donnell on YouTube says, question for Jamar: for Baltimore Comic-Con, are you gonna have both hardcover and softcover copies of Leon?
I'm working on it. I definitely know I'll have softcover, but I'm working really hard to get some hardcovers.
And you'll be able to catch Jamar and myself and JRD and I think Adam. I think there's quite a few people in chat. Maybe we'll see us all at Baltimore in 2.5 weeks.
Oh my goodness! Where Steve is going to trip the light fantastic, and let's hope he brings home a Ringo.
It's an honor to be nominated. It's just an honor to have a front row seat to your keynote. That's what I really good at.
Oh, that's right. I'm doing the keynote address at the Ringo.
Yeah, don't forget.
Oops. Yeah, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. There's going to be more. I have a bunch of panels. I also will be doing workshops in the Kids Love Comics area. I'm looking forward to. I hope we can make this happen. A live It Ain't Hard to Tell podcast with myself and Mike Hawthorne, who's now drawing Batman. If you didn't hear,
I've heard of Batman.
Yeah, he's drawing Batman, and Quesada's doing the covers. That's crazy.
Wow, that's great.
So, and also I believe there's going to be. I don't think this is a secret. I think there's going to be another panel with me at Baltimore in conversation. There's a lot going on, but I'll let them spill it. But yes, please come.
All right, guys. Pencils down.
I love it. Pencils down. Pencils down.
Never go down.
Let's see what you got. Oh, Mike, that's great.
It's still, I gotta, work out all the foods and the hands holding the trays, and when
that one's like 50 minutes, 55, less than an hour of drawing, Mike. It's gorgeous.
That's fantastic, Mike. I love Mike's acting.
That's great. We'll cut over to Jamar's screen.
Oh, I was supposed to put eyes on these. That's what it was. I know there was a gag in there.
Lunchbot 9000.
But yeah, thanks so much, guys. This was a lot of fun. I'm gonna finish this.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you all so much, so much.
Thank you, Steve, for hosting.
Thanks for running the board.
This is great.
Thank
Wow.
you.
And I can't wait to see what everyone else has done as well. So, wow. All right. You have the con. I'm
Control of the board.
yeah.
All right, you guys. Thanks so much. Thanks to Master Drill Sergeant Corporal Chief or Full-Bird Colonel Mike Manley. Thanks to World Heavyweight Champion Steve Conley. And what was that?
Tim Fielder saying 5 pages per session. It would be great.
Guys, we're gonna go home. I don't know where the time went. I say it all the time with guests. Where'd the time go? But this was fantastic. Thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. And please spread the gospel of Pencil to Pencil. We do this every week, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. EST. It only gets better. Every episode is better than the last. And we have a very deep archive. Very deep archive. If you miss an episode, it still exists. Go back on the YouTubes, the Tubes of You, or the Book of Faces, and check out our video archives. There's all like
you've been listening literally for like
a week,
months now, probably.
Yeah. There's hundreds, at least almost 200 episodes. JRD knows. But we're gonna go home. Thank you guys so much. You know what we're gonna do now. We're still in a pandemic, but I'd be remiss if we didn't wash those Kirby hands. Yeah. Oh, my Silvestri hand. There you go.
My Ditko hand.
Oh, love it. All right, you guys. See you later. Don't eat the
Later.
fish. Hey, where's my mouse? All right, here it is. Bye.